fundamental question, right? And in reality, it's a question that we are all answering in one way or the other. We answer this question by the way that we talk, the actions we take in the world, the belief system we have, the core values we have or maybe don't have, by anything we do. I have struggled with this question for as long as I remember. Society made me believe that it was about money and social status. My youth rebellion made me believe that it was about making the best art in the world that could conduct the truest principles. And my mature me makes me believe that it's about health and happiness. I mean, it's about how we feel while we live it, right? And all of the ancient spiritual traditions confirm this belief. But happiness is very hard to attain when you have your biology working against you instead of for you. When you attain health within your body, you already have the base layer for having happiness as a state in your mind. Hey, you with me? Let me know your answer to the question, what is life about, in the comments below this video. Think about it. Write your thoughts down as we explore this topic together. So let's dive in. Alright, so what is the meaning of life? What a grand question. And I actually don't think we will find a finite answer to it. So why don't we break this down and reframe the question so that we can actually get a meaningful answer to it? What is the human experience about? Now, with this question in mind, we are actually the experts at answering just this question. And as we know, we are inside of or a part of a physical biologic entity that we call the human body. The body is an organism that has been developing throughout millennia, from just a single-celled organism to the more complex multi-organ system organism that we call the human body. This organism we somehow inhabit and are part of allows us to not just survive on Earth, but it is actually ideal for thriving here. And so that is our physical potential to be thriving. It has been adapting through the worst of storms, deluges, exhausting heat waves, fires, and all climates imaginable, and it is still here, our biology, our human body. We have all this wisdom gathered through evolution throughout the millennia within each and every one of our cells. Each and every cell within our body has a long DNA string within it. And if you took this DNA string and pulled it out, you would see that it was 2 meters in length. That means that if you took all the DNA within all of the human cells, so one individual's DNA, and spun it together, you could reach around the Earth 2.5 million times. And that just goes to show how knowledgeable, how wise the human body is. Each and every one of these cells knows how to work together as a multi-celled organism and make the human being thrive. This is so astonishing to think about. But even more astonishing it is to think that most of what we call our biology is actually made up of bacteria, fungi, viruses, archaea, and all of these microbes. We call this vast part of our being the microbiome. And according to popular belief among the leading microbiologists out there, we are outcompeted by these microbes in a ratio of 10 to 1. That means that for every 10 bacteria, there will be just 1 human cell when we look at the body. If you were to draw out this in our anatomy, you would see that human cells actually only reach up until knee height, and that's just in one of the legs. The rest of the anatomy would be filled up with bacteria and all of these microbes that we term the microbiome. And these obviously have a huge influence on our health and well-being as well, just as big an influence as the human cells themselves. You know, many studies out there have been done where you take sterile mice, that means mice that basically have no bacteria and no microbiome, and then you give them a gut transplant from mice with either a very toxic microbiome or a very healthy microbiome, and then you see what happens in these sterile mice. And what happens is that if you, for example, take a microbiome from a depressed, obese, anxious rat, the sterile rat that gets this transplant will develop the same physical and psychological traits. And the same happens on the other side. If you take from a healthy rat into a sterile rat, it basically becomes a healthy rat. So that just goes to show how incredibly important the microbiome is in terms of our health and well-being. So what we can conclude is that the microbiome is just as big a part of us as the cells of our body. We are much more than just human. And then there is the weather as well, of course, that also has an enormous effect on our health and well being. And I mean, not to mention other people, they of course also play a factor in determining how we feel, think, and act. So, who are we really? Where does the boundary between me and you lie? If I don't know who I am, how can I know what life is about? All right, big questions. Let's try not to get lost here. Nature always seems to have a simple answer for the most complex things. So when we ask the question, who are we must be the thing that we can most directly influence of all of these factors. At least this is the part of our being which is to the most of our concern, since we want to have the most impact with the least amount of energy expenditure. That is what all of nature does, right? It always tries to spend the least energy while doing the most efficient job. So let's follow that pattern. We just aren't as effective trying to control the clouds or prolong the sunrise as we would be tending to our immediate body, right? So we are our body, but what is this that makes us talk about the body like this, like something outside of ourselves? How strange is that? That is our mind. But what is that? Is it the brain? No, because we have heard accounts of people being momentarily brain dead in surgeries and stuff, and they describe their experience as an out of body experiences. And indeed, you can try this on transformational plant medicines, and some can even do it through meditational practices. So, what is the mind? We don't know exactly, but we know that it is not bound to the body, and we know that whatever it is, we seem to be very closely linked to that as well. Indeed, it seems like the closest to the answer of who we really are. And being that the mind is so close to us, we know that we can easily affect that as well, right? Through mindfulness practices, through breath work, through our belief system, the choices we make, all of this greatly influences our state of mind. So let's conclude that the closest answer to the question of who we are, by the definition of that being the part of us that we can most easily manipulate and influence at this point in our exploration, is the body and the mind. Okay, so we are the body and the mind, and we are on the planet Earth in a solar galaxy called the Milky Way, with no other planet that we can inhabit in our organic form. Those facts certainly makes us something clear to us. It tells us that there is no sense in seeking for a new home. We are earthlings, and the earth is our home, is ours to take care of. A sacred duty, you could say. So then we have the body and the mind and our life, which depends on Mother Nature and Father Sky. So at least some of the meaning of life must be that we are human beings and it is our sacred duty to take care of our body, mind, and the environment that supports us. With that being said, though, there is a spiritual dimension to this question, and we know that because we are living a spiritual existence, whether we use that term or not. We know that the biblical hell is a state of mind, and the same goes for heaven as described in the Bible. You can end up suffering in hell for what will feel like eternity because we are living the eternal now. Right here, right now. That's the only thing that exists, right? There is no tomorrow now, and there is no yesterday now. You can think about tomorrow, but no matter how hard you try, you will not get there. You will always be right here, right now. So if you end up orienting your life in a way that literally makes it hell on earth, which very many people do, then you are living the metaphorical hell on earth. But the same is true for a heavenly existence. Very many people also manages to conduct and organize their lives in a way that makes it a life in heaven. So we do have this power of the mind to either choose hell or choose heaven. So now I would say that it is pretty clear. I mean, life is long, right? It's an eternal now stretching on an average about 80 years out into the future, and possibly much longer for many of us. That's a damn long time to be miserable and suffering. I think the only rational conclusion to our question today is that life is about mastering the body, the mind, and the human experience as a whole, so that you can shape your life into the experience of the biblical heaven. I call this actively creating your dream. Now, this of course becomes way easier when you have your whole biology working for you instead of against you. Think of what we talked about with the microbiome. Think about if you don't nourish your cells with the food and the environment that they need. Think about if you don't conduct your relationships in a way that fosters health and happiness. Think if you don't take care of your environment so that your body builds up toxins and nature is crumbling around your head, right? That's not going to help you in creating your dreams. So, wouldn't you agree that using your mind effectively to create your dream would be much easier if you had your biology working for you instead of against you? I thought so. So that's why I will show you in the next video how you can best optimize your body so that your body is working for you in creating your dream. And hey, if you didn't already leave me your thoughts, then do it in the comments right below this video. I'll be happy to take part in your thought process about what I shared in this presentation today. Alright, so love and chi, brothers. Love and chi.